Throughout the past week, Russian troops continued to strike enemy targets on the territory of the so-called Ukraine. In the Dnipropetrovsk region, the 𝐑𝐮𝐬𝐫 military airfield was hit, where another enemy Su-25 was destroyed. Russian troops also carried out a massive drone attack on targets in the Kyiv region. At the same time, several ballistic missiles were launched at the region, hitting targets in Kyiv and Biała Czerkwa. And in the Kharkiv region, the Russian armed forces destroyed a train with Ukrainian armed forces equipment at one of the railway stations. As a result of the hits, several Patriot air defense systems were destroyed, as well as the enemy's temporary deployment point in 𝐔𝐤𝐬𝐢𝐚. In Mykolaiv region, airfields in Novi Bug and Mykolaiv itself came under fire. In the latter, a training site for Ukrainian pilots under the guidance of English-speaking instructors was hit by fire. In turn, Ukrainian formations launched drones at targets in the rear regions of Russia. 2 enemy drones were intercepted in North Ossetia while attempting to attack the Mozdok airfield. At the same time, the Ukrainian armed forces attempted to hit targets in Krasnodar region, launching several UAVs at the region. Russian air defense crews shot down all enemy aircraft, but an electrical substation and a residential building were damaged. Rostov region was subjected to a massive attack, with the enemy launching over 50 drones. Several drones hit the Morozovsk airfield and Rosreserve oil depot, causing a major fire. Meanwhile, clashes continued along the entire contact line in the Special Military Operation Zone. In the north, Ukrainian direction, Russian troops struck enemy border facilities in the Chernihiv region. In the Slobodansky direction, units of the Russian armed forces successfully repelled all counterattacks of the Ukrainian armed forces in the direction of Hlybok, forcing the enemy to retreat. And in Vovchansk, Russian attack aircraft were able to advance to Gogol Street, dislodging Ukrainian formations from their positions in the urban area. In the Kupiansko-Svatovskoye direction, fighting continued in the area of Sinkovka and Petropavlovka. Russian troops have already struck the 4th time in a month at the Ukrainian armed forces crossing over the Oskol River in the Kupiansk area, complicating the enemy's supply. In the Lyman direction, units of the Russian armed forces continued to fight in the Makeyevka area. Currently, Ukrainian formations control at least part of the settlement. In the Seversky direction, the main clashes are unfolding in the Belogorovka area, where the Ukrainian armed forces are holding positions in the chalk quarry area. However, the configuration of the front in this area has not undergone any significant changes recently. In the Artemovskoye direction, Russian troops continued to storm enemy positions in Chasov Yar. Russian units carried out a landing on the outskirts of the Oktyabrsky micro-district, occupying the first row of houses on Mariupolskaya Street. In the Alexandro-Kalinovskoye direction, there were heavy battles both from the east and from the south of the Dzerzhinsky agglomeration. In Artemovo, assault groups of the Russian units occupied the eastern outskirts and were able to advance in the area of the Artem mine waste heap. In Novgorodskoye, Russian units continued to break through the defenses of the AFU in the vicinity of the machine-building plant. Ukrainian formations responded with counterattacks, but they failed to push back the Russian armed forces servicemen. In the Pokrovsko direction, Russian attack aircraft established control over the southern part of Timofivka. To the south, Russian units liberated Veseloye and drove the enemy out of the adjacent forest belts. At the same time, Russian troops started fighting in Zelenoye, having advanced along the railway tracks. Ukrainian formations are actively mining the area, trying to slow down the advance of the Russian troops. In the Donetsk direction, The main clashes continued in the north of Krasnogorovka. Over the past week, Russian servicemen advanced along Engels Street to the beginning of Sadov Street, raising a flag there. In the South Donetsk direction, Russian units were able to expand the control zone in the area of the village of Pobeda, and to the southwest, Russian attack aircraft cut off a section of the T-05-24 highway, which connects Konstantinovka and Ugledar. A relatively stable situation remained in the Vremyevskoye direction after the Ukrainian armed forces withdrew from Staromayorskoye and Urozhainoye. Both Russian troops and Ukrainian formations carried out rotation and strengthened the occupied lines. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, positional battles were taking place along the entire line of the Rabatin Wedge. Russian UAV crews were actively working on targets in the enemy's rear, hitting positions, equipment, and ammunition depots of the Ukrainian armed forces. As for the Kherson direction, fighting continued there in the area of the Dnieper Island zones. Throughout the week, Russian artillery was also actively working on Ukrainian armed forces positions on the right bank.